Hi, welcome to the Property Gurus. This video is the next in a series of videos looking at the renovation of a 1930s semi-detached house that was completed recently. Each video looks at a different aspect of the renovation, and the slides you can see here are shots showing the house as it was originally. Please give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and we hope you enjoy the video.
Today we're talking about the heating system. When you're renovating a property, you will usually have to install a brand new heating system. That involves putting in a boiler and changing the radiators. You'll see what we've done here in this property. One of the things when you're trying to achieve a successful renovation is to minimize the cost, to try to keep down your expenditure. So you'll see today that we had to install a brand new boiler and reposition that boiler because the old boiler was in the wrong place in this house. But we've tried to work with the location of the existing radiators to try to minimize the amount of work, to reduce the cost, and also to come out with the best possible outcome. So let's have a look at what we did to the heating system in this property. So here I am in the bathroom of this property, and you may be wondering why I'm in the bathroom. Well, the reason for that is that originally the heating system for this house was in the bathroom. So behind me is a shower. You can see we've installed a nice walk-in frameless glass shower. That was the situation for the boiler at this property originally. So when we bought it, the boiler was tucked away in this room, really convoluted pipe system, and we had a gravity-fed water system. So that meant there was a huge tank up in the loft that was feeding the system. The gravity fed means that water is fed through the system using gravity, so therefore it has to be at the top of the house, the water supply. That feeds into the boiler, which was behind me here in the bathroom. That caused major problems in this room in terms of space, so everything had to be fitted around the boiler. And the way the plumbing had been done was an absolute nightmare. It was all convoluted, it was really impossible to get to, it was old, it was tired, and it had to go. So we moved it out of here and put it downstairs into a new utility room that we created. So let's go and have a look at what we ended up putting in. When you're installing a new boiler, one of the key issues that you need to address is the flue. So it's this section on the top here, which basically all of the exhaust fumes, all of the gases, where you've got carbon monoxide, which is potentially deadly, has to be exited out of the house. So you need to have an external wall. Because this is a semi-detached house, this wall here is external. You can see there's a window here, so we've got fresh air outside here. So we situated the boiler onto an external wall, which means that the flue can go directly straight out of the property. Have a look at that in a second. And it makes it much easier to be able to situate your boiler if you can put it directly onto an external wall. So one of the key requirements when you're designing your heating system is to make sure, firstly, you're able to conceal your boiler so you don't see it. It's really ugly. You don't want this on display. You don't want people seeing this when they come into your house. But secondly, you need to have an external wall to get those exhaust fumes out of the property. So it needs to go directly out through the external wall and straight into the atmosphere. So here we are on the other side of the wall where the boiler is situated. So the boiler is situated just here. This is the exhaust pipe. So this is basically where the vent is coming out, the vent pipe, and all of the carbon monoxide will be coming out of here when the boiler is operational. This window that we have here is non-opening. So that means that it meets current regulations. So if this vent is within a meter of the window, it has to be non-opening. So here's the vent, very easy, nice and easy to access, no problems with that. So here we are at the new utility area, and we'll cover this in a separate video, but we're looking today predominantly at the heating. So behind me here is the boiler that we've installed. This boiler is a combination boiler, which means that it's essentially a kettle on the wall. So cold water is fed into the boiler and it's heated up within this boiler. So there's a heating element within here. As the water comes in, it gets heated and it leaves this boiler hot. So it comes in cold and leaves hot. So basically your water is instantly heated on demand. So there is no hot water sitting around in a tank. You don't heat it up and then have to wait for it to be used. It basically is heated as you switch on the tap. It becomes hot by passing through the heating element of this boiler. The great thing about combination boilers is that they save a lot of space. So you can see behind me that this is a really compact unit. We'll have a look at it in a bit more detail in a second. But it really is great for smaller houses where you want to minimize the amount of space that you're devoting to the heating system. If you had the unvented system, which is installed in a lot of properties these days, you have to have both a boiler and a heating cylinder. So you might have a 200 or 300 litre cylinder, and they're really quite large. So they'll be 5 foot high and quite wide. So this whole cupboard would be used up. If we were putting an unvented system in, we'd have had to install a massive tank behind me here, and what would happen is the water comes into the boiler, is heated by the heating element, and then is passed into the tank, and then it sits in that tank waiting to be used. So it's great if you've got a really big property, or you've got a property with very poor water pressure, because you can then put pumps onto your cylinder and pass it around the house. But here we've got good water pressure and it's not too large. The house is now 4 bedrooms. This is a large combination boiler, so that means that it can feed more than one appliance at any one time. So you could be running the kitchen sink and have a shower, or you could have 2 showers simultaneously. So it's as big as it needs to be for this house. It's saving space, and it means that we were able to use the rest of this cupboard for other items. So let's have a look at the boiler in a bit more detail. This boiler is an ideal Atlantic 35, which means that it's 35 kilowatt output. It's really compact, so it's 700 mil high by 395 wide and 285 deep. That means it's really easy to store it. This could have been fitted quite neatly into a kitchen cupboard, but we've got space here under the stairs that we've fitted it into. It's easy to use, so it's got some simple dials on the front here. You can see there's a dial here that gives you the heat of the water that's coming out, and also the second dial is for the temperature that's being fed into the radiators, and then you've got a very simple switch that tells you whether you want to be just hot water or hot water and heating, or to switch the whole thing off. It's got a dial at the bottom as well for being able to set up timers for your heating, and then it's got a pressure gauge also. It's really quiet in operation, which is fantastic because we've situated this as part of a dining room, sort of kitchen, living, dining area. So it's in this area. There are doors, as you can see, but if we had a very loud boiler, then that would be disturbing for anybody who's in these rooms. But it's really quiet. It's actually ticking over at the moment. You can probably just about hear that. It's really quiet. It's a very, very quiet boiler. So we liked it because it's neat, it's compact, it's large in terms of its capacity, but not large in terms of its actual size. And it's also very cost effective. So this was a lot cheaper than some of the other bigger brands that we looked at. And it comes with a 5-year warranty. So what's not to like? Anything goes wrong with this over the next 5 years, and Ideal will send people out and replace any parts and give us a hassle-free existence. So we really like the look of it. We think it's very neat. We've paired it up with a freestanding thermostat here. So this has been paired up as a small unit at the back. I'll have a look at the pipework in a second, but this was the unit that we've used to pair it up with. So it's now controlled completely by this independent. We could fix this to the wall, but we've decided to put it on the stand. Very simple to operate, really easy. This is a universal, so it didn't come with Ideal. It's an ESI brand, but again, relatively cheap, cost effective. We got this from Amazon, works really well in conjunction with this boiler. Now the heating system here is one zone only, and what that means is that the temperature for all of the radiators is the same for the whole of the house. So this thermostat on here, so you can see the reading at the moment, it's showing that it's 18 degrees and we've set it to 18, and it's showing that the actual temperature currently in this room is 18 degrees. So what that means is the boiler will turn off at that point because it's hit the desired temperature. If we turned the temperature up, so we turn it up so it goes to 19, then the boiler will come on. You can hear that. You can see CH has come up, so that means central heating, and it's showing the dial in terms of the pressure and the gauge, but that's then turning the heating on for the whole house. So having a one zone system means that the temperature in this room regulates the whole of the property. So you need to be aware of that it could be colder or warmer in the bedrooms, but this is really what's driving that boiler. So if the temperature in this room hits I've turned up to 19.5 here, as you can see. Once it hits 19.5 in this room, it will switch off. It may be hotter or warmer upstairs. So the good thing though is this is portable, so you can take this upstairs if you're going to bed, and then it regulates the temperature of that particular room rather than the kitchen diner. So we turn this back down, you'll be able to hear the change in the sound of the boiler. So you can hear the boiler going off. So it really is a very quiet operation for this boiler, which is great. It's just what we need because it's in a living space. If we have a look at the pipework, you can see this has all been installed brand new. So it's all nice and neat. We've got the flow and return. We've got the vent pipe, which is going out through the wall for any condensation here. And then we've got some plumbing for the washing machine that we've got sitting next to it. So that's what the black pipe is. But you can see here, we've got a really nice neat job, got a filling loop done, got the electrics very close by, and we've got a magna clean, which basically pulls out all the particles that are in the heating system. And we'll come on to that in a minute, because we've renovated this property using the old pipework that was already here. So we've put brand new pipework in here for this boiler, which we had to do because previous boiler was on in the bathroom on the first floor, so we've had to install brand new pipework here, but the pipework that feeds all of the radiators was already in place. So let's have a look at the radiators. Here we are in the living room. Now this room has a very large bay window, and originally when we bought this property there was a single radiator that was the same width as the window, so it went from where you can see the plug socket over here all the way across to the other wall over here. It was single skin, so really inefficient, and the pipework obviously was the same. So the pipe for the one side of the radiator came up here by this, by the socket, and over by this wall here. We've repositioned the entry pipes, but we've used the same pipes that were under this floor that feed from the original boiler. We've kept them, and we've just put new tail pipes in from the floor, as you can see here. This is a double convector radiator, so you can see that it's got two sides to it, and this is much more efficient than the single one. But basically what we've done in this room, we've kept the pipework under the floor, and then we've just repositioned the entry points of the radiator. Now the radiators are much more efficient these days, so that's why this radiator is so much smaller than the original one, that the BTU, so the output, the heat output that this radiator gives, is sufficient to heat this relatively big room. This is about 4 meters square, this room, but that radiator there is more than sufficient to be able to heat that. So this is the radiator in the hallway. This is actually a direct replacement of what we had previously. So you can see that the pipes that feed into these radiators are a bit older and not brand new, and that's because we basically took the measurements of the original radiator and then replaced it with a brand new double convector radiator. So this is larger than we need for this hall, but it was easier to keep the pipework in the exact same position because there was less work involved. So we just measured the distance, bought a direct replacement, and updated the actual radiator itself. Let's move through into the kitchen diner. Over on this wall, there was a large radiator over there. We've replaced that with a much smaller version. This looks really tiny compared to the size of this room, but actually is sufficient to heat this room for the BTUs because it's in conjunction with this radiator here, which is next to the boiler. And this again was already here, this size of radiator. We've replaced it with a double convection, but because we've got two radiators, one on this wall and one on this wall, it means that we've got sufficient heating for this whole space. Moving upstairs, let's have a look what radiators we've installed up here. Got the new bathroom, and we took the opportunity to install a nice, modern, stylish designer towel radiator. So this is the leaf style, so it's quite nice. Not particularly expensive, so you can get this online, but it is a feature for the room, and it's worth spending a little bit extra to get that nice stylish look. We go through into this bedroom. This radiator is essentially in exactly the same position as the previous one, so it's larger than it needs to be. So it's a single skin radiator here. We've used the original pipework, so you can see that these pipes were here already, and we've essentially just put new valves on and put a new radiator in, so it kept the cost down to a minimum. Let's go through to the next bedroom. So in here, what we had previously was a large curved single radiator. So this radiator had been hammered and was bent all the way around the curve of this bay. So you can see the bay has got curvature to it. The radiator that was in here before had the same feature. It was bent and curved all the way around. Really inefficient, really heavy cast iron radiator. We've replaced it with this much more modern version. We haven't gone curved. They're difficult to buy, they're very expensive. This is just a standard radiator you can buy anywhere, but it's more than sufficient to heat this room. So we fitted new pipe tails here, but the pipework under this floor is the original pipework, and then we just joined it up later. We go through to the small bedroom. This was in the same position as the original radiator, so we bought the same width of radiator. It's smaller because it doesn't need to be as big. This is quite a small room. And if we run upstairs to the loft space, this is obviously all brand new, the loft, but we've got a couple of radiators up here as well. So this one situated in the middle underneath the window. Because this was brand new pipework and we were designing this from scratch, we put these pipes coming out of the wall, so a much more attractive feature. We didn't do that downstairs because it was cheaper and easier and quicker to just stay with the existing pipework that was under the floor. Because we built this whole loft from scratch, we designed it so that the pipes were buried into the wall and we just had tails coming out. So you don't have any pipework on the floor. It looks a bit more attractive, a bit more stylish, a bit more upmarket and modern. And then moving on into the bathroom, similar type of feature radiator. We've got a ladder radiator here. Again, we fed the pipes out through the wall. So we've done so we've got the tiles. So we cut a hole in the tiles to accommodate the pipes, and then we've got a nice tall 1.6 meter radiator that you can hang all of your towels onto. So that's all of the heating for the house. One additional point, at the time when we installed the heating system, we weren't sure whether or not we were going to do the loft. So what we decided to do was to feed the pipes up into the loft space ahead of the loft conversion. So when we installed this boiler, the pipes run down to the floor, across underneath these appliances, up, and you can see here we put an access panel into the wall so we can access the pipes, but the pipes go up, and there's a bathroom above us here. So the main family bathroom is above, and what we did when we fed the pipes up to that bathroom, we then fed pipes additionally up into the loft, which we left tail ends so that when we decided to do the loft, that the plumbing for the heating and the water was already in place, and we didn't have to then rerun pipework from this boiler all the way up into the loft space. So it's a good idea to plan ahead, even if you don't decide to do the loft immediately, as long as you've got the pipework there. And we did it when we completely refitted the new bathroom. The pipework was in place so that when we came round to doing the loft, it was much easier because all the water supply and heating supply was already in place and done and dusted. And this boiler we calculated to include an additional bathroom in the loft so that it was powerful enough. We didn't have to replace the boiler at the time when we converted the loft. So plan ahead, even if you're not thinking of doing it right now, maybe you can't afford to do it right now. Do the pipe work, it doesn't cost a lot more, and then in the future it's so much easier to get that loft converted. So that's a quick tour of the new heating system that we installed in this house, all driven around the combination boiler. Really good use of space, these combination boilers. Ideal for 3 or 4 bedroom houses where you only will have maybe 1 or 2 showers and a bath and a sink. So if you don't need masses and masses of hot water instantly, so you're not needing to have 4 or 5 showers all at the same time, these are ideal. When you're doing the renovation, combination boiler is absolutely perfect. It's relatively cheap, it's efficient, it's modern, they come with guarantees, it will work really hard for you, it does the job, it will heat both the radiators and the hot water simultaneously. For any renovation, the heating system has to be modernised and updated. Getting yourself a good combination boiler is critical to that. Shop around, you don't need to buy the really expensive models. Great if it's for your own house and you want to have a Worcester Bosch or something like that, but these ideal versions do just as good a job, and you get a 5-year warranty, so there's peace of mind added to that as well. So hope you enjoyed the tour of the house. We showed you the new boiler, the new radiators. We used the existing pipework because that was quicker, easier, and made everything much more efficient. It all works perfectly. We've got brand new modern thermostat, which is portable, can be taken around the house. So this is right up to modern standards. Didn't cost a fortune. It was an efficient way of doing it. And we're really happy with the outcome on this project. We're the Property Gurus. Thank you for watching. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe and give us the thumbs up. And we will see you for the next video in this series. Thank you.